I'm Guadalupe Mendez,
I'm Joe Joyner.
I'm Rory Welch.
and this is our fall 2025 semester project. So, to start, we're going to go over the introduction, which is related to fake news, which we've all are probably very familiar with. It continues to be a hot topic in today's landscape, which spreads misinformation, and this can also just lead to groups and communities forming around these lies, which they believe to be true. Science has unfortunately fallen victim to this kind of misconduct, and this project specifically aims to tackle copy move forgery. And this is a type of misconduct where regions of an image are duplicated to fabricate results. This is the most common and damaging types of misconduct in the science field. Fake science misleads researchers and leads to just like wasted time and funding, and this just generally hurts the trust in the scientific community in the public eye. Current detection methods of uh, finding these copy move forgeries just aren't enough. These include manual review and automatic review methods, which just were not initially built with scientific figures in mind. And just with manual review, is just super slow to do it via human methods, and it's just not easily scalable when there's so many research papers. And in an age where it is easier than ever to fabricate misinformation, we need a specific tool designed for this domain. So the motivation behind this project actually works in conjunction with a competition that is hosted by Kaggle and Record AI that aims to find the best models to detect copy move forgeries. And the goal is just to push the envelope forward in keeping the fake news out of the scientific community. As I mentioned, Kaggle and Record AI actually provided the data set that we will be using in our project, which includes 2,751 forged images and 2,377 authentic images. These just range from normal sized pictures of like corn down to microscopic images of microorganisms. And here are just like a couple examples of images that actually got into research papers. As you can see, the one on the right is clearly fake, but managed to slip through the cracks. Whereas something like this, which is definitely much harder to detect, um, just looking at this alone, you can probably see that it's much harder to see which is the actual authentic image. Onto methodology. This is where Joe will take it from here.
Thank you, Lupe. Our approach to detecting forgeries is a multi-stage machine learning pipeline that transforms images into a set of representative features and then uses classification algorithms to distinguish between authentic images and the altered ones. First, we perform feature engineering, the goal being to extract a numerical feature vector from each image that captures the essential characteristics. We combine three types as each provide a unique perspective on the image's content. They are color feature, texture feature, and frequency features. In color feature, we use color histograms for each of the red, green, and blue channels. We capture the overall color distribution. This is useful because copy move forgeries might alter the natural color balance. With texture features, we calculate the statistical measures from a grayscale version, such as mean, standard deviation, and edge density. Forged images tend to have an unnatural or sharp, inconsistent edge around the copied region. And finally, for frequency features, we use discrete cosine transform to analyze the image in the frequency domain. DCT represents an image as a series of cosine waves of different frequencies. Copy move forgeries involve duplicating blocks of pixels, and this can create an unnatural periodic pattern in the image, which spikes the frequency. For our models, we chose four commonly used classification algorithms. We used random forests, builds many individual decision trees and aggregates their predictions. It's very robust and it handles a large number of features well. We use support vector machine. It's a model that finds the optimal boundary that best separates the authentic images from the forgeries. And it's very effective in high dimensional spaces using the RBF kernel. We used K nearest neighbors. It's a simple instant-based learning algorithm, classifies an image based on its nearest neighbors. Its effectiveness depends on the idea that the images with similar features are likely to belong to the same class. And gradient boosting, which is the more advanced method, it builds decision trees sequentially, and each new tree is trained to correct the errors made by the previous. And it is a very high performing algorithm for structured data. Uh, for after this, we to find the most optimal configuration, we used grid search CV. This automates the process of hyperparameter tuning. It exhaustively tests a grid of specified parameter combinations using five-fold cross-validation. This ensures the selected parameters are effective across different subsets of the data. And we used F1 score as an evaluation metric. It's a very balanced measure of precision and recall, and it is the metric used by Kaggle for the competition. Now we'll go to Rory for the model performance.
Thank you. So yeah, the initial model performance showed severe overfitting really in all models, but especially our KNN and our random forest. Just a brief explanation of what overfitting is basically where the model will memorize the training data, but perform not very well on data that it hasn't seen. Overall, with our pre-tuned models, gradient boosting did perform the best, but still did show some overfitting. Here's a visual representation of the pre-tuned models. As you can see again, with the training accuracy versus the actual testing accuracy, all of the models did show overfitting. As far as our tuning approach, we used grid search CV, which Joe had explained just a moment ago, in conjunction with five-fold cross-validation. The tuned SVM, sorry, we used F1 score as the metric to match the competition. The metrics themselves that we wanted to test combinations of were max depth, which limits how deep the trees could go on the random forest, N estimators, which is the number of trees in the forest, min samples split, which is the minimum samples required to split a node, and our SVM with the RBF kernel, we used combinations of C, which is regularization strength, which controls allowable misclassifications on training data, gamma, which is the kernel influence or how far a data point's effect reaches. For gradient boosting, we use learning rate, which is how much each tree contributes, N estimators, which is the number of boosting stages, max depth, which limits the complexity of each boosted tree, and subsample, which is the fraction of training data used per tree. These were the best hyperparameters we found through the cross-fold validation. And our post-tuning results did show accuracy improvements in all models with accuracy and F1 score. Our random forest did show overfitting still, but did perform better than its pre-tuned counterpart. Our gradient booster showed large stability improvements from reduced depth and smaller learning rate, but our SVM ultimately achieved the best score with an F1 score of 69.7%. And here are our results from cross-fold validation on our tuned models. I'm going to pass it back over to Guadalupe now to go over our insights.
Thanks, Rory. So Yep, as mentioned, our models were showing as like overfitting easily. So tuning was very essential for improving the performance of these models. As discussed, SVM performed the best because of like the nonlinear RBF kernel, as well as the ability to handle high dimensional feature vectors, um, as well as gradient boosting showed improvement because of the reduced tree depth, lower learning rate, and subsampling on random subsets of the data. And from here, I'll pass it on to Joe.
So we were limited on time. With more time, we could have trained our models using the files provided by Kaggle. These files really are just NumPy files. They structure the image into like integers. Uh, we would have used these if we had more time, and we wanted to make a neural network to learn spatial features as well. Um, and Rory will conclude this.
Thanks. So, in conclusion, just to sum up our entire project, what we did is we built a full machine learning pipeline for detecting copy move forgeries. All models have initially overfit, but tuning did significantly improve performance. With our SVM with the RBF kernel achieving the strongest results with an F1 score of 69.7%. This provides a good baseline for scientific image integrity checking using classical machine learning models, and we were overall satisfied with our results, even with the time constraints that limited us. So I'm going to pass it on to Joe now, who has a code demo.
1 second. Here we have some of the code. We're a little bit into the code here because loading the data set takes a while. Here we have our random forest, some results. While I am going through this, it's important to know that we did this in Google Colab. But to run this through Google Colab for a demo, it would have taken more time than we're allotted for our presentation. In fact, some of this will some of this will take time on my machine as well. The computer is a few years old. Here's our third model, K nearest neighbors, our gradient booster. This one does take a little while. Also for the hyper tuning, this also takes about 2 minutes on my machine. Here we get some results based on our running on our machine. They are comparable to the results we presented in our presentation. And here we are, we're hitting the hyperparameter tuning. I'm going to run 2 of these and call it good for the demo, or else it's going to be here all night. Um, this one will take too long, so I'm going to end the demo here. Um, thank you.